Hey guys, got a video response to Moodz616's contest time of my 20 favourite horror films of all time. This is a rather hard list to do, especially out of any tops. It would definitely be the hardest, to do a top 10 of just horror, because it is my favourite genre, I guess. But anyway, I won't hold you up anymore. Some of these movies you're probably definitely going to disagree with, but these count from being as a kid as well. Child's Play 3 is my number 20. I was obsessed with Chucky as a kid. He was definitely one of the first things that terrified the shit out of me, and the front cover of this on VHS as a little kid just scared the absolute shit out of me as a kid. Look at it, it's so freaky, and this is probably considered one of the worst in the series, but I quite enjoy it more than, 2. Just, I didn't see this one for a while after I'd seen 2, as, Chucky was one of the first horrors I'd seen. I had to literally beg my mum to see this, but I eventually ended up seeing it. But Child's Play 3, I just love some of the lines in it, presto, you're dead, and stuff like that. I think the gore and the violence in it is, plentiful. I think it's more violent and less cartoony than 2, which is why I liked it. But yeah, Child's Play 3 is my number 20 pick. At number 19, I have Venom, which is a little, not very well known movie, I guess you could say, about it's a black mamba snake, which is, they're pretty deadly and they're really fast snakes. But I saw this one as a kid with my dad, and I love it. I love it still. It's a shame about this release. It's just one of them $2 forced video releases. I haven't really looked for it or seen it in any other release, but I love this movie. It's got Klaus Kinski in it and Oliver Reed, 2 very fantastic actors, and it's also got Sarah Miles. She's also a great actress as well in quite a few bad movies, but this one, it's actually pretty scary, I think, as well. I enjoy it a lot. Number 18, we have a recent one, The Signal. I saw this one recently, and I was actually rather blown away by how it sort of just, can handle 3 different kinds of genres sort of really in, one movie. It's got comedy, it's got bleakness, it's really well done, and it's pretty original as well. Can't say I've really seen a lot of movies like this, but I really enjoyed this movie a lot. Human Centipede 2. Now, I went to see this in the cinemas uncut, as it got an uncut release here in Australia, and I actually got a photo with the actor here, Lawrence Harvey. He's a great guy, a very funny dude. But I like this movie. It's, it sort of just takes something really violent and really disturbing, and and even though it is really disturbing, I can see the artistic side to it, I guess you could say. People could call me wanky for saying this, I don't really care. Just sort of like how he's just sort of left, and he's still a monster, I guess you could say. But I really enjoyed this. I love the violence in it, and I love that it didn't take itself too seriously. It just had fun, and therefore I had a lot of fun watching this movie. I laughed quite a lot in the cinema when I saw it, and I love it. And it's a shame that they, banned it and cut it again, but it's better than them just banning it. I will eventually get the uncut release from somewhere, I guess. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Now, this was banned in Australia for quite some time, and I really do not know why. Yeah, it's violent, yeah, it's got some gore in it, but I've seen a lot worse, and apparently it's because he rubs the chainsaw you know, sort of a bit seductively on the girl's leg in one scene, which is fucking ridiculous, you know, that it's got banned for this. But, you know, again, I really enjoy this movie. It's got awesome gore in it, you know. Dennis Hopper as well in it, which is hilarious. And I love just the sets in this as well. You know, it's really creepy and messed up. I love the sets in this movie. Like, you know, the carnival and all the bones, and just really loved this movie. I always wanted to watch this movie as a kid, and just I couldn't because it was banned, and I can remember just being so pissed off. And then, you know, I remember it coming out on DVD, and as soon as I saw it, I bought it, and I've never regretted it, and it's probably one of my favourite sequels. But next up, we have Dario Argento's classic Suspiria. Now, this movie is, of course, if you actually know horror, you should have seen this. If you haven't, you know, I can't really say anything to you because I can't really call you a fan of horror if you haven't seen Dario Argento's Suspiria. Now, yeah, it's just fantastic violence in this movie, great storyline, it's actually scary. The soundtrack by Goblin is fantastic. I love the Italian soundtracks. But yeah, just he's an artist, really, Argento, and this is actually not my favourite Argento movie, but I love this movie anyway. Next up, I've lost count, sorry guys. It is Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. This movie, you know, is just freaky, you know. And the ending, when I first saw this movie, haunted me a fair bit as well, actually. But yeah, I really enjoy this movie. I think, you know, it's just, it's nasty. It's got everything you sort of want in a horror movie, you know. It's got nasty, you know, Otis, just the end and all this, you know, in the movie is just fantastic, you know. You know, Otis raping his own sister and then, you know, getting killed. It's just a nasty movie, and you know, it oozes with just horrible thoughts. I love this movie. Classic Halloween. Some people are going to be pissed off that this isn't higher in my list, but it's my list, not yours. I actually sadly remember getting this out as a kid and being pissed off because it wasn't violent enough, but I still enjoyed it. But I was expecting a ton of gore. But you know, then you watch it when you get a bit older and you actually realise how creepy and nasty this movie actually is. You know, you got some really scary music and themes, and everything you'd want in a good horror movie is in this movie. And yeah, it's definitely one of the best in this. Definitely the best in the series, I believe. You can't beat it. You can't beat it at all, I don't think. Rob Zombie's remake, I have, but I didn't really enjoy. I think they should have just left the backstory a bit. I did enjoy it, but I think they should just leave the backstory. You know, it's scarier not knowing his past. I think, you know, it just made it freaky. He was a monster, not a human. It humanized him more, which also makes it creepy, I guess. But anyway, I'm rambling. Halloween. Alright. So now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 left. We're halfway through. Okay, this one. Some people would disagree this is a horror movie, but no, I would definitely call it a horror movie. It's The Wicker Man, the original, of course. Fuck this remake shit with Nicolas Cage, even though it is good for a laugh. Saw this movie as a fairly young child, actually, probably a bit too young. But yeah, this movie is freaky and it scares me. There's just something really eerie about it, I guess. Just, you know, the townspeople just all sort of playing and gathering and singing and drinking, and then it just sort of just climaxes into this ending of, you know, Burning Man with you know, Edward Woodward in it, and it's really quite scary. Christopher Lee does a tremendous performance in this film, and I actually really just love the whole atmosphere and everything about this film, really. Another recent one I bought, Dead Girl. And again, just a really nasty concept, but if you analyse it and look into it, it's actually brilliant, you know, just how sort of disturbed teen boys can be nowadays. You know, I'm not talking about me. I would never do anything like this. I found this movie actually quite hard to watch in parts, and that is saying something. I've seen a lot of gore, but I love this movie. You know, it's brilliant, as it says on the front cover. But yeah, it's got you know, the nastiness. It's got some awesome characters, realistic and believable characters as well, and an ending that, you know, some people were disturbed by, but I actually said, you know, it's disturbing, but, you know, I love this movie. It is horror. This one is a bit of a silly movie actually, but I love it as a horror movie. I always have as a kid. It's The Stuff, Roger Corman movie. You know, pretty much about yogurt, I guess. You know, coming out of people. Sorry, it's Larry Cohen movie, not whoever said before. Yeah, great movie. Always used to love the bit where Chocolate Chip Charlie just explodes. I always used to rewind it and rewatch it all the time. And I think this movie has fantastic special effects for a B movie. And, you know, I just think, you know, who the fuck would think of an idea about killer yogurt? But really, you think about it and you analyse it. This movie's a lot smarter than it makes out to be. You know, it's, you know, again, horror isn't it's not a dumb genre how people usually look at it. It's actually a really intelligent, and you can definitely do a lot of things with horror, as you can't really with a lot of other genres. But yeah, there we go, The Stuff. Next, my definite favourite Argento movie of all time is Tenebrae. Most people I think like Suspiria more than this, but I just always, the gore stood out to me in this movie. Just the slashing behind the sheets and the blood and the score, and just again, it's Argento. You know, he is a master of horror. You know, really enjoyed this movie. But yeah, fantastic movie again. Now, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original. I want to get a better version of this, as this one is an ex-rental. Fortunately, I don't work full time or anything, and I can't really afford to update a lot of my movies that I'd love to update. But yes, do I really need to talk into this one? Everyone would agree with me that this movie, as a kid, I was disappointed. I wanted to see people get, you know, their faces cut off with chainsaws and get cut in half, and you never really see it. But then you watch it when you're older and you go, man, this movie is actually freaky. You know, they actually cut her hand in this movie because they couldn't get the special effect right when they were good, you know. But yeah, like, I really love the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I was obsessed with it as a child, and it is, you know, my second favourite franchise horror movie, I guess you could say. But yeah, just always freaked me out, this movie, just with the door opening and, you know, the door shuts, and I can always remember you always wanted to see more, and you think about it now, it actually is pretty scary that I wanted to see more. But anyway, now we're up to my top 5, I believe. Yep, we are my top 5. Right, number 5, we have Wes Craven's Last House on the Left. Always wanted to see this movie and was so pissed off that it was cut. Remember always looking it up on Google and, you know, looking at the pictures from it on Google Images and reading the plot over and over again. And then Umbrella finally released it uncut, and I finally got to see it, and it blew me away. I love this movie. You know, it goes places that a lot of horror movies won't go, and still will not go today. The remake of it went there, but it was happier, the remake. You know, the girl survived in the remake. She doesn't in this. She dies, and you really can't beat the original. You know, it's really disturbing. And it's got just the best with the chainsaw and with the dad, and it's just amazing. I love this movie. I'm trying not to ramble on too much about them, but I love these movies. Now this one, again, another silly movie that this is it. I'm actually not up to my top 5. I've miscounted, so Anyway, this is The Wild Beasts. Fuck, this movie, I remember looking for it forever and ever and ever and ever, and I eventually ended up finding it on eBay. You know, it is a you know, a cardboard cover that's been cut to fit into a clamshell case. But this movie, you know, it's got elephants stepping on people's heads, cheetahs chasing cars, rats getting burnt alive, and it's real, and, you know, it's really, really disturbing, this movie. But it's fantastic, you know, it's silly, it's got a polar bear, it's got so many animals, and they're all on PCP now. It's a ridiculous idea, but it works, and this movie would always be special to me because it's got everything you need. Now we're on to my top 5. Child's Play. Definitely one of the first horror movies I saw. The first one I saw was Pet Sematary, but this was the first that scared the fuck out of me. Just awesome, you know. Watched it all the time, watched it over and over again. I kept watching it. It terrified me, but I kept watching it. You know, Chucky is just, he's freaky, he's awesome, he's got attitude, and Brad Dourif does brilliant voicing for it. But anyway, I love Chucky. Child's Play. This one would go higher, but I don't know why, but it doesn't. It's Todd Browning's Freaks. I was obsessed with this as a kid because, you know, it actually has real physical abnormalities in it. You know, it was banned for so many years. I remember looking for this and never ever finding it, and then eventually they brought out a Siren video release, which is inside here as well. I've just done this because I can't really afford discs. I don't have much disc space. But yeah, I've got both versions of Freaks here. Love Freaks. You know, only goes for 60 minutes, but it's a freaky movie, and it's pretty scary if you think about it. You know, the pillowcase man with no arms or legs lighting the cigarette with a match and rolling. Apparently he rolled it before, and he had sons, and you know, I just love this movie. It's simple and it's effective, and that's why I like it. Now my top 3. Alright. We've got Ruggero Deodato's Cannibal Holocaust. Now, this movie gets some, you know, it's banned for years here in Australia. But I just love this simple message, you know, we are the actual cannibals, not them, you know, we're the actual horrible things, you know, and it's true. And, you know, this has got some really disgusting animal, you know, cruelty and, you know, actual animal slaughter in it, which I don't particularly agree with, but the Italians always loved it. You know, the koala getting stabbed in the neck in this movie, a turtle getting cut in half, you know. But just this movie, you know, it's pretty freaky, it's scary, but it's honest as well. And, you know, I really enjoy Cannibal Holocaust. And the soundtrack has got to be one of my favourite soundtracks of all time. You know, up there with also Mark of the Devil. But yeah, definitely an awesome movie. And my number 2, I've already covered both these horror movies in my top 10, and so these have to be in my top 20 horror movies if they're in my top 10 movies of all time. We've got Peter Jackson's Brain Dead. Now, this movie I remember just watching as a kid and just loving it. It's got enough gore and enough splatter for any gorehound to enjoy. You know, it's funny, it's ridiculous, it's awesome. You know, just that bit with the lawnmower and there's all arms and legs and blood just flying everywhere, and it's just a fantastic movie, and I really, really love it. So now that leaves us to my number 1 movie of all time, which is, of course, Street Trash. Now, I had this on VHS, and I unfortunately sold it, and I feel like a dick ever since I did, but, you know, I love Street Trash. It's just, you know, so violent and funny and silly, and it's well shot, and it's just a brilliant movie, I think, and I just really love Street Trash. I, you know, don't want to give too much away about it, but it's a melt movie where hobos buy Tenafly Viper, and which is a really cheap, out-of-date alcohol, and it's sold for $1, and homeless people melt because of it, and it's fantastic, you know. Best dialogue, best melting, best violence. I really love Street Trash. I think it's somewhere, but because I'm obsessed with both homeless people and horror movies and melting, I guess you could say. That's why it's my number one, which is a weird reason, but it's my number one. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed my top 20, even though it has gone for 20 minutes, and thank you for watching it. Alright, I'll be back with an update soon. See ya.